All right, welcome back into the STR podcast, always known as the Start the Rebuild podcast. I'm your co-host Tim Fournier, alongside Ian Mills.
What's going on, folks? It's been only a couple days since we last
I
recorded, but
know.
Tim's going to Europe. So we're gonna
Tomorrow.
record a little an earlier episode this week. But still a lot going on in the last couple of days.
Yeah, so one thing that you just told me is that your roommate's moving out. And there's a few routes I want to go down in terms of this kind of thing that's going on in your life, but do you want to just explain what's going on?
Yeah, well, so I graduated college last year.
Hmm.
Technically winter of 2022, but all my friends, like, we started in 2019. Everyone finished in 2023. He stayed for, an extra year to do, work on another degree. And so it was him, me, and a couple other my friends who were hanging, stayed for a year. I was just staying to work, but he had just left. He just moved out. He graduated last week and moved out. And a lot of my other friends are moving out throughout the rest of this week. And so, yeah, in the next week and a half or so, it's going to be me and one other dude left in Binghamton from that group of like 12 people that came 5 years ago now. Wow, 5 years ago. That's kind of insane. But so yeah, it's a bit of a living alone. Like I do it almost every single summer
Hmm.
because I'll move in, and then people move in when school starts. So I'll do it for most summers, and it's really fun in terms of like you can kind of just do whatever you want. Like you don't have to worry about like bothering someone else, which is always really nice. But it is like super monotonous in terms of like, especially on weekends. Like if you don't go out on a weekend, like you're just like yesterday, I literally don't think I left my house. I mean, I'd work like 8 days in a row, so I was like, I want to just be lazy, and I was lazy, so I was succeeded at that. But it was like, it'd be nice to be lazy with another person also being lazy next to me, if that makes sense. So
Yeah, that's fair. That's kind of a lot of the along the lines of a lot of stuff I've been thinking about in terms of if I want to go back to grad school and looking for a job right now. Do I want to stay close to home? Do I want to
yeah,
go to a city where I know I have people that I know, or do I want to go to a place where I don't know anyone
right,
and feel like I have to like branch out and grow? I don't know if you have
yeah,
any specific takes on that, but what goes through my head is I feel like I'm at a point in my life where I want to grow. So part of me wants to just like say, screw it, go on like solo mission and force myself to reach out to other people and create new relationships. And part of me is like, at the end of the day, when I die, I'm going to look back on my life and all I'm going to have is the relationships I had and the memories with those people. So, like, should I just move to somewhere where I know people and I care about the relationship I have with them? And maybe this is the only time I have in my life to have that, you know?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I like the idea of going to um a city or a place that you're unfamiliar with and kind of
Mm.
forcing yourself to learn new skills and meet new people and develop friends. I mean, that is an incredibly daunting thing to do, but I do like I think you're right. I think it is a really good way to grow as a human being. When I was a sophomore in college, like that summer I decided like, oh, I'm staying in Binghamton for this job that I have.
Is that when I
So
visited you?
yeah, that's when you visited me. And that those were easily like the hardest 3 months of my life. Like you came to visit, which was super dope. Like that was a really fun weekend. Um,
We did
but
nothing, but it was so
we
fun.
did nothing. I think I had to work while you were there too.
Yeah, I
Um,
like went to the gym.
yeah. So yeah, it was like that was one of the hardest couple days or couple months of my life because it was like I knew nobody. I like I mean I was working 6 days a week, so I didn't really have time to go meet new people.
Sure.
Um, so that was horrible, but I also feel like a lot of that was because I was 19 and just didn't know, like I just was like I didn't want to leave my shell. Also it was during COVID, so it was like
Yeah, it was a little
meeting
weird.
was kind of impossible as well. But like that was, I just remember looking back on that and being like, my anxiety got really bad during that time because it was like I was isolating myself. So and things like that. Like I think if I were to do it now, I'd handle it entirely differently.
Hmm.
Um, but I do think I grew a lot as a person from that experience, not because of those 3 months, what happened in those 3 months, but because I can look back on it and be like, hey, these are bad habits. If I want to not be very anxious right now, let me not like I need to speak to people. Like I can't just be alone for like, you
Yeah.
know, 72 hours at a time and uh do nothing but like play video games and then work for 10 hours and then go home and play more video games. Like I was
Right.
doing nothing. So, um, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things like it is a very daunting idea to just be alone. And that was only 3 months too. So like, doing it for a longer period of time. But I do think again, to do it and have the mindset of like I'm forced to meet new people and like you have to go out of your way and do it. Um, it's again, yeah, I think it's a valuable like experience to have,
Hmm.
certainly.
Do you think now that people are starting to leave that there's things you're going to change to meet new people or anything like that?
So maybe a little bit. The good thing is that like I do work with a bunch of people who I really
Hmm.
like to hang out with and do hang out with. So there's that. I do know enough people in the area because I've been long enough in the area. Like that was kind of the thing is that like I would know through this job, I would know a lot of people who are not affiliated with the school, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like I know a bunch of uh people my age or even older people that I talk to on like a daily basis. So it's like for me, it's like I already know a bunch of people. I also am not too far away from my friends downstate. My girlfriend's not too far from me. So like, trying to meet new people, I'm sure I'll try new things. I feel like I'll just have more free time, honestly, in some ways, just because summer's slower. Um,
Sure.
and yeah, I think it is kind of the thing is like what's going to change more than anything is like weekends are going to come around. And instead of like everyone like getting texts from everyone like, yo, we're at the bar right now, pull up, like whatever. It's going to be like me and my one roommate. We're just like, all right, well, what do we want to do? And he's like, oh, I'm working. And I'm like, okay, so what do I want to do on my weekend instead of what I always have done the last, however many years. And
Yeah.
so,
If I do decide to go somewhere where I don't really know anyone, I would be very interested in like tips to like meet people. And one thing I've been thinking a lot about too is I don't want the that one place to be like work is a good option, but like I don't want that one place to meet people to be the bar either.
yeah. Well, it's hard to go to a bar alone and meet people.
Well, there's that first of all,
Yeah.
but in general, even with a group of people and you want to meet new people, like I just don't like the idea of that. One thing that has interested me a lot that I've seen a little bit on social media and stuff are run clubs. I've gone
Okay.
into running a little bit, but if I like, I don't know, went to one a week or something and it was just like you run 3 miles or something, like I think that would be cool to meet people
Sure.
kind of like-minded. For me, the other cool thing would be the gym, but I don't know. Sometimes the gym is weird, like in terms of a social aspect, because a lot of people are just like in there to like get their stuff done and leave.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Gym's tough just because like whenever I'm there, like yeah, I don't really love talking to people because it's like I want to be here
Right.
for an hour and 20 minutes and get out. Something though that I have thought about to meet new people, but also just to do for fun is like adult softball leagues, dude. Like that
Hmm.
sounds electric. And I feel like, I don't know if you can just join a random team. Maybe you can, I don't really know. But like something like that sounds like, you play once a week on Saturday morning or Sunday morning, whatever, and you guys hang out after, or maybe you don't, whatever. But
It
like
does
I feel
sound
like that's good way to meet people potentially your age. Now that I think about it.
definitely.
But
That's something I have to look into too.
I
Um,
kind of want to do that now.
yeah, I just signed up for a kickball league actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. Granted, it's with a bunch of people that I already know, but anyway. Um, so kind of moving on to the next topic, unless you got anything else on that.
I'm
Uh,
interested.
right now, if you look at my face, I'm growing like this really gross, thin,
I was gonna
terrible
mention that.
facial hair
I
mustache.
like it. I like it.
I think it has potential if it were to grow in. I don't know if it's gonna ever look good at all. But the reason I'm doing it is a couple of my friends from college, we made this group chat and we all are growing out mustaches right now, even though we all have like bad facial hair. And the whole thing is that if you shave it, then you get booted from the group chat. So it's kind of
Damn.
like who can like stay in the longest type
Yeah.
of thing. The group chat is called Stash Patrol. It's a
Okay.
great movement that everyone should join. But I don't know. I think it's just like funny and fun. And I think keeping those things in life that are just like stupid and fun is important. And then also just kind of I also think it's good to know that you're doing something that looks kind of dumb and then just forcing yourself to deal with it in public. Not that
Yeah.
I need to look stupid all the time, but for like a period of time, just being like, you know, I'm comfortable in my own skin, you know?
Sure. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Yeah. I mean, that's the fun. I feel like you and your college friends have a lot of fun ideas like that. Like we were talking about fantasy football stuff last week.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I like that idea. No, I mean, I do. Yeah, I think just like being, it's weird because like you think back in like high school and it was like I cared so much more about like my appearance
Hmm.
then, and now it's just like no, I'll leave the house like I'll wear mismatched like a yellow hoodie with like a like green sweatpants to the store. Like who cares? You know what I mean? It doesn't really
Right.
matter. But yeah, I think that's a good little lesson. But I know I like the mustache. I know I can see he's growing in. I've always wanted to grow a mustache. I can't grow facial hair, A,
It's
and B,
so
my
thin,
job.
it just looks horrible, but
It'll get yeah, in like a week it'll be good.
I hope.
Um, yeah, I can't grow facial hair just because I can't. And also B,
Man.
my job does not allow me to because I need to be on air. I'll like try to grow it out and then my boss will be like, "So what's going on there?" Or what's trying to grow something out? And I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Let's do that on our own time," or something like that. And I'm just like, "Ah, all right, I'll shave it, I guess." But yeah, I've always wanted
I
to grow
guess that's
facial
kind of fair
hair.
when you're on there.
Yeah, I mean, it's whatever. I get it. It's like you kind of have to, your appearance does sort of matter a little bit.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm kind of
I,
just soaking it right now.
I hear you. When I first started this job, or when I first started being on air, my boss saw me, and I guess at the time I had way longer hair on top. Like it was just really, I mean, my hair is like naturally curly, but it was like way
Mhm.
higher for some reason. I People described it from like Kramer from Seinfeld, and my boss, she was like, she came up to me, she was like, "Oh, you want to be on air?" She was like, "What do you think of your hair?" And I was just like, "What do you mean?" She was like, "It's curly." I was like, "Yeah, I like it." And she was like, she kind of just gave me a look, and she was just like, "Of course you do." And I was like, "What does that mean?" But they wanted me to cut it. They wanted me to trim it down a little
So
bit,
so they
which I
just
respect.
say things like that without directly saying it.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
You have to read between the lines.
Sometimes it'll get to points where they will directly say it. Not to me necessarily, but in general.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of the product that you're putting out when you're on
Yeah.
television. Like, I guess they can do that.
Yeah. They can be
Um,
rude.
One other thing I wanted to ask you about is being
Mhm.
on air. It's got to be like pretty high pressure, especially in the beginning. Like, what were the first few times you were on air? Were you like freaking out?
Oh, it was horrible. Dude, it was horrible. The first couple times I was on air, I was talking to my mentor, Amy Hogan, about this not too long ago. Because she basically like, was helping me out. So I was going on air. It was not live. Like the first time I was on air, I was not live. And they basically were just like I was previewing a feature package on
Hmm.
like a dog adoption center. And so I'm sitting in this parking lot outside of this dog adoption center. And she's basically just like, so all you're going to do is preview the package, like here at the Broome County Humane Society or whatever it was on Conklin Ave, 12 dogs are up for adoption. And like, that's all I had to say, something like that. And I was struggling so hard. It wasn't live rate. I just couldn't do it. I actually recently went back accidentally and found the clip. And it was horrible. I can send it to you later if I can find it, but it was one of the worst things. I was genuinely like, what was I doing here? Like I couldn't. So that was bad. And then the first couple of times I went live, by myself, where I'm actually on air, it's live, and I have to, no script, I have to just explain what's going on at like a scene of, hey, a fire just happened here, whatever. It was really bad. I was scared out of my mind. Like I couldn't stand to do it. Um, I think it was genuinely one of the most like I hated going live. Like I basically wanted to tell like my director, I was like, hey, I can't do this anymore. Like let's just stop making me do this, and it'll be better for all of us. But obviously they kept making me do it, and I'm happy there because like I went live on Friday for the Black Bears Commissioner's Cup final win. Um,
Let's
yeah,
go.
go Black Bears. Let's go Black Bears. So they won, and I was live on the ice during the celebration. Couldn't hear myself think. It was the loudest it's ever been. I was screaming into a mic, no script, anything like that. So, like,
That's
time
awesome.
has gone on. What's that?
That's awesome.
Yeah, time has gone on where like I'm fine with it now. Like it's just second nature now. But yeah, when I first started, when I was like a sophomore in college, or no, yeah, sophomore, junior in college, like whatever. It was horrible. Like I couldn't do it, could barely do it.
I'd be
Um,
freaking out.
Yeah, it was tough, man. It was weird because I also was like on like I wasn't a confident human being. Like you know what I mean? Like I wasn't confident in myself in general. So then I couldn't pretend to be confident on
Sure.
camera or I
How
think I put a lot
has
of pressure on it. I think people put a lot of pressure on it too. Is like I'll interview kids now and some of them hate being interviewed because they're just like nervous. They're like, I'm not a good public speaker. I'm like, you can't think of it of public speaking. You're just having a conversation with someone. Like I'm just talking to you, interviewing you about, you just threw a perfect game in softball. What was that like? As opposed to like
right?
you're not like they think of it as like a presentation, which when you're looking into a camera, it kind of feels that way sometimes. But
Sure.
you know,
How has
I've also
becoming sorry.
go
Um,
ahead.
how has becoming more confident on air and live and things like that translated to the rest of your life? Has that made you more confident in other situations too?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'd say I'm a bit of a like an introvert in some ways when like meeting new people and stuff like that, like we were just kind
Hmm.
of talking about. But definitely in terms of just like being able, like when I was doing this and then would go to classes and had to present, like it was easy, like it was nothing, like it was like second nature. It was like this is makes this is so much easier than talking on TV about, hey, these three guys just got stabbed outside
Hmm.
of a Walgreens or whatever. So it was like, yeah, it made everything else super easy. And then also the fun-ish part about this job is you're forced to speak to strangers like all the time.
Yeah,
Like I have to go up to a coach I've never met. Coach, how you doing? Like we'd love to interview you about yada yada yada. And then you just have to like you're forced to just get to know these people. And then over the course of the last 3.5 years almost, you just develop relationships that you keep throughout that time. And
sure.
yeah, I mean, you just become more confident in because people get to know you. Like I've been at places where people who maybe I don't know will come up to me and we'll have a conversation. Um, like something like about this job, it's funny because you'll meet a bunch of people. I might have talked about this on the pod already. You'll meet a bunch of people who will know your name because you're on air and maybe they'll watch the clips on our website or Twitter or whatever. So they'll come up to me like, Ian, what's up? And they'll never introduce their own name. So like there's like 2.5 years have gone by and there's people I talk to like once a week who I have no idea what their name is. And I feel like I can't ask them, hey, by the way, you never mentioned your name. Like, what is your name?
Right.
So yeah, I mean, there's the aspect of just like you're forced to talk to strangers, so you kind of have to get out of your shell, and once you kind of feel like you're good at it, you get more confidence. And being in a public facing role like this, you do face a lot of like you face like the compliments and the criticisms. And when I first started, there were a lot of criticisms, not a lot of compliments. And now there's a lot more compliments than there are criticism. So that, certainly lends itself to be more confident when more people are watching you, when more people are happy. Like when more people want you to cover something, that's a good thing because it's like, oh, they appreciate your coverage and they want you to be there. So yeah, I think just being on air and like forcing yourself to talk and grow is it's definitely helped my confidence a lot. Like I was quick little tangent on that. I mentioned the Black Bears thing. I was quite literally screaming. Like I would my voice, I don't know if you can tell, but it is shot right now. Like it kind of hurts to talk right now, which is not a good thing. But so screaming on air, screaming on air. This is Friday night. Sunday or Saturday morning, I have to cover two softball games at like 10 a.m. So we leave the station at like 1 a.m., have to go back at like 9:30 for these softball games. I show up, I'm exhausted, whatever. I got like a hat on, a hoodie on. Like I'm just basically I don't want people to like see me. Like I'm just like I'm here to cover the four innings of this game and then go home. And this woman calls me over. She goes, Ian. And I walk over and I'm like, hey, how you doing? Like, she was like, how's your voice today? And I was just like, oh crap. Because I listened back to the coverage I did on Friday night and I was like, I don't like this because I was way too loud and animated. This was too much. It was kind of dramatic. So I was kind of bummed out about the whole thing. I was kind of like, this was a huge event and not that we botched it, but I was like, I wish this could have been a lot better. And so she comes up to me, she was like, how's your voice doing? And I was just like, it's fine, it's whatever, it's good now, like I can talk, but like, I was like, yeah, I was really yelling. And she was like, yeah, you were pretty loud. I was like, yeah, I wish I hadn't gotten that loud, whatever. And then someone else chimed in, they were like, yeah, really, you were really, really screaming. And I was just like, all right, guys, I get it. Like, come on, relax, like soft, like I understand that. Um, and then later on, when I was leaving, the lady stopped me and she was just like, "Hey, I just want to say thank you so much for all you do. We think you're the best in town." And she was like, "The one thing I like about you more than anyone else is that you are loud, like you're energetic, and like you can feel like yelling is almost a good thing in that sense." And I was just like, "Oh, well, I appreciate that." When you said when you were talking about me yelling earlier, I assumed it was a bad thing, but it turns out you liked it. And from that point, a handful of more people had come up to me and like appreciated that we were super loud and yelling and like I don't know. I guess it was ended up being a good thing. So
Yeah. I feel like that
maybe
adds
people are just
excitement
being
to it.
nice. What's that?
Like that adds excitement to it.
Yeah. So it's like maybe people have just been being nice, but like I was pretty down on myself like Friday night, Saturday morning, and then like over the next 4 or 5 hours, people were super nice to me about the whole thing. So I was like, you know what? Maybe it's not the end of the world that I was screaming and loud, whatever. But
Interesting.
t-shirt.
Pretty soon you'll be like the Hornets announcer.
Yeah. Yeah. Just you woke up and yelling. Yeah. So
All right. Well,
yeah, I
any
think
goals for next week?
what's that?
Any goals for next week?
Oh man. I guess I mean I'm again I'm in the process of moving. So
Right.
move like I want to so my new place opens up Wednesday and um I have 10 days between before this place ends. So I am gonna have two places for 10 days. So I want to be able to move everything, by obviously by the time this lease ends. But I think by like by this Friday, I want to have moved a bunch of boxes already over there. So that the move is a lot easier on
Mhm.
me, over the course of next week, because then we'll have sectional playoffs. Like this week's gonna be kind of slower if I had to guess, which every time I say that is a lie. But um, yeah, I think just trying to get a bunch of boxes into my new place and make it easier on
Sure.
myself because I tend not to make things easy on myself. You know, so that'd be nice. How about you?
Well, going to Paris, so
Yeah,
enjoy that and take the next steps on figuring out my life. Sure, I'm gonna have a lot of good conversations with my family over the trip about
yeah,
what I'm thinking and get their opinions on stuff and move from there.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
been an interesting period in my life of a lot of like reflection and thinking about what I want to do.
Yeah. I mean that
Very
honestly,
anxious
like
period.
I was gonna say, like, yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of anxiety, but it's almost a good thing in terms of the reflection. Like I feel like sometimes with my job, and sometimes I know with people who work all the time out right now, you don't really have the time to reflect and be like, do I is this what I want to do? Like, is this something that I enjoy? What do I want to do with my life? And like sometimes you just get caught up in your life, caught up in your world, and this is the only thing you care about. And it's like you don't have the time to think, to stop and think, hey, if I'm going to change this, how do I go about that? And I think
Mhm.
people are very scared to make that change, including myself. Like having, like, if I were to just be like, we talked about this on the pod where it's like, oh, would I take the steps of quitting a job and to take time for myself and a, you know, not be burnt out and then maybe take steps and try to grow my own thing and that's a great idea, but like it's like I don't think about that too much because I don't really just have the time to.
Mhm.
So I'm sure there's a lot of anxiety, but like I feel like you're using this time valuably by being able to stop and think and be like, okay, what do I want to do? Trying new things and trying different interviews and figuring out where do I want my life to end up, so to speak.
Right. I trying to find that balance between giving myself time to reflect and really think about it, but actually also make progress and take action on stuff. So it's tough, man.
It is.
Your whole life, everything you're told exactly what the next step is, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh,
Yeah.
now I gotta figure this the heck out.
Yeah. Yeah. I've noticed like recently that's really kind of hit me the last couple weeks, whereas like all my friends leaving Binghamton. And it was like, when I was here for the last year, everyone else was here kind of still doing school. So I was like, oh, we're all basically still in college. I'm just still working. And now it's like, well, I'm like, come December, I'm gonna be 2 years removed from college. And it's like, oh, what what am I doing? Like, is this what I'm gonna do for
Hey,
the rest of my life?
washed?
Yeah, am I all gonna wash? Like, I'm gonna be 23 in 3 weeks, and
Unk
there is like,
status.
yeah, what's that?
Unk status.
Yeah, status, yeah. Um, Speaking of that, we're gonna be in Rochester next weekend, but I
Really?
think you're gonna be, yeah. Wait, this upcoming
Yeah, this
weekend?
coming weekend I'll be gone.
I might come back the next weekend as well. I haven't decided yet,
Well, let me know.
but we'll
We
talk.
should film an in-person podcast, dude.
That'd be dope. I would be
It's
very
so
dope.
much better in person. I just filmed one last night and I posted it on my other YouTube channel with Zach and Dave.
Yeah, I saw that.
And
Yeah,
it's so much better in person because it's just more natural and you don't like, there's no
step
lag in
over
terms of
it.
like knowing
Yeah,
when to speak. And you can just make it look a lot better.
yeah, it's very true.
So if you're in
Uh,
person, we absolutely need to do that. Or if you
yeah,
come to Rochester while I'm in Rochester, we absolutely need to do that.
I'll be very down for that. Yeah, I'll be in Rochester more often, I would like to think, over the next couple months.
Sick.
But yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. It's just like, all right, what do I want to like? I don't want to do this the rest of my life, and then you almost feel like, am I stagnant? Like, have I not gotten better? Like, if I'm not actively, you know, working to a new position somewhere, like, I think also like when I first started at Fox 40, I started as a production assistant, and like over the course of like the following year, I got like four different promotions to the job that I'm currently at right now, sports director. And I've just been in this role for the last 2+ years.
Mm,
And so it's just like, okay, what now? You know what I mean?
yeah.
So
I mean, it makes
yeah,
sense that that kind of trajectory slows down
yeah,
a little bit. I don't think
yeah,
that
for
means
sure.
like you're not doing
No,
like
of course.
well. Um, but I definitely understand that feeling.
Yeah. Just like what next? And you're right. Like everyone, your entire life, you always had like the directions of, okay, go to high school, go to college, get a job. Now it's like, okay, well, that's a pretty broad spectrum. Like, what do you mean get a job? Like, you could also go back to school.
Right.
Um,
Might be
it's a
me.
weird little, it's a weird time, just so to speak.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, unless you got anything else, I think that's a good spot to end it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it.
Little quicker one today, but I think that's fine. We had a
Yeah,
shorter round
yeah.
and
What is your guest? Dream
oh, to
guest?
add to the list.
Yeah.
Oof. And then come prepared. Dream guest, dream guest.
Dream
Gary V.
Gary V. Okay,
You know who
Vanderchucker.
that is?
Yeah, he's the I know like that I don't really know what he does. Is he a crypto guy? He's not a crypto guy, is he?
No, he's just like a big like YouTube and content guy, and he like
Yeah,
always preaches like following your dream and like starting a YouTube channel.
there we go. Oh, I didn't know. Maybe I'm thinking of someone else then. Um,
Inspirational guy.
okay. I think I can like visualize who that is in my head.
Yeah.
All right, sure. Gary
Big
V.
Jets
I feel like
fan.
he does a lot of public appearances.
Yeah.
So
I feel like we could maybe sneak him one day.
yeah,
Maybe.
you know what?
Like he seems like the type of guy that would just like enjoy going down like 500 rungs of success
Yeah.
to just be like, keep doing your
What are
thing,
these? Yeah, what are these two guys up to?
brother. All
What
right.
are all right. I will yeah. I guess that's all for this episode.
Yeah. All right. Peace out, everybody. Like, comment, subscribe, share this with your mamas. Peace.
Ooh, happy Mother's Day.